Hello and welcome to the video. My name is Wade Smith, and in this video, I'm going to discuss something that I suspected for a long time and even tried to calculate a few times. Is the fact that the most elite female martial artists actually have a higher punching and kicking power than most, if not all, men, even including elite men, because of an interesting quirk in the true power formula for moving fluids. Power of a moving fluid. Now, of course, our body is not not an ideal fluid, but power of a moving substance is the cube of velocity multiplied by the mass of the substance. All right, directly proportional to that formula. So you can see that a smaller and faster person can potentially have more power than a bigger and slower person. Um, and so And so this explains why my sensei's wife, who was my cardio kickboxing instructor, was so lightning fast and powerful at whatever her weight was at the time, 135, 140 pounds or so. Extremely muscular for a woman and extremely lean, being a full time cardio kickboxing instructor and martial artist. Um, Whereas when I was 20 years old, I weighed 185 pounds. Now have developed type 2 diabetes and I'm 44 years old and I'm about 35 pounds overweight, unfortunately. And I just checked on the calculator whether reversing the formula to see how much power I've lost due to simply being overweight. And depending on whether I reverse the formula correctly or not, the calculator suggests that I've lost between 15 and 40% of my punching and kicking power just from being 35 pounds overweight. Much less the fact that because of type 2 diabetes, I've almost certainly suffered at least some muscle atrophy since 2006 through 2009 when I was the sickest. So, um, I really need to lose the weight just to get back the speed to have the maximum punching power, don't I? But uh, this seems to suggest because you know a certain portion of the power comes from mass, and three portions of the power comes from speed. This seems to be the case that a 135-pound woman can in fact punch faster, both faster and harder than say a 200-pound man, even at least in this case of certain elite women who are fully trained martial artists who full-time circuit train and are in perfect condition and have the right body type. It seems to be the case that they are both faster and stronger even than a 185 to 200 pound relatively healthy man. And because that seems to be some kind of fundamental law of physics. I'm not just saying that on a hunch, I'm saying that based on the real power of a flowing or moving fluid or moving substance formula. And I might actually write Gerard, who was the dean of physics at Southeastern Louisiana University and was also a student with me at Mark Myers Dojo. I might write him and ask him if that makes sense and if he can somehow refine the formula to verify what I'm suspecting to be the case. That is very interesting. Very interesting. That explains why some women can defend themselves in street self defense situations if they're an elite athlete and an elite martial artist, even against two or more men. Um, so that that explains and verifies the claims, but I've actually seen videos of women defending themselves against two or more male attackers. And that explains and verifies that yes, that's real and it's not staged. And yes, that other claim by my first sensei was real and it's not staged. All right. Thank you very much. If you do the one I'm talking about is the one called female Bruce Lee beats two men in a diner or something like that. There's a video of it on YouTube where she elbowed the first attacker in the throat and then punched him in the throat again. And he crumbled over like a deck of cards. And then she turned and defended herself against the second attacker. And he threw the chair at her and she caught it out of the air and then returned a kick and kicked him in the abdomen. And then after that, he took off running. The second attacker took off running and ran away from her. And it's caught on video in the middle of the diner that they were harassing her. And then one of them stood up and threw a punch at her, and she blocked it and counter elbowed and counter punched him in the throat. So evidently, some women, at least if they're small enough or in the right body type range, and an elite enough athlete and an elite enough martial artist, can in fact punch as hard or harder than men. Um, so that's just the claim, and I seem to have scientific proof and validity of it, according to the scientific formula and according to the calculator calculations I've done. And somebody just dropped in and looked, and I don't know if whether there's somebody interested or who they are, but thank you for at least looking at the video, even though you were only here for 10 or 15 seconds. You might already know what I was talking about. All right, thanks. I'm going to end the video now because I don't want to ramble or repeat myself unnecessarily. But I would like to talk to Gerard, Dr. Gerard Blanchard at Southeastern Louisiana University, because he's both a co-student with me and was my physics instructor and the dean of the university. And he might be able to more completely solve the real formula for that to verify if what my educated hunch is telling me is in fact more plausible than I even realize. All right, thank you very much.